Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Wartime, brothers and sisters. Wartime. Our topic today, escaping the gravitational vortex. We need to understand what I mean by that. See, gravitation has similar properties as magnetism. But gravity is a one-way street. With magnetism, it attracts and repels. But gravity is a one-way street. So it's a gravitational vortex created by this reality. Every reality creates a gravitational vortex, which means it attracts the imagination. It attracts the mind. And that's when the Quran talks about believers and disbelievers. Because the disbelievers, their minds get trapped in a gravitational vortex of a particular reality, and they can't move on to the next reality. Because time constantly changes. We're constantly changing. We're constantly moving forward in time. We're time travelers. And we're given scriptures for every distinct period of time. Like seasons, that's a sign to you, because we don't just have one season, we have 4 seasons, and each one different. And you have to have a different guidance for each season. And the same thing with our history, because we're told that we have a 25,000-year cycle, and there's 4 seasons within it. 6 times 4 is 24, right? 6,000-year period. Each season is a 6,000-year period. And we're given a general guidance for each 6,000 years, and we're given particular guidance for periods within the 6,000 years. Because like every season, right, is 12 months, and each one of those months are different. Those months are transition. So in other words, spring starts in March, right? And so there's 3 months to March. 3 months to spring. So it's 3 months. That's a transition between summer and winter. Spring is a transition between winter and summer. And the 3 weeks are transition periods, right? From winter to summer. So each one of those requires a certain guidance, because it's cooler in March than it is in May. So May is almost summer, and March is almost winter. So you have to have a specific guidance for each one, and that's why you have scriptures. But some people get lost in scriptures like, oh, well, I got the Quran. Well, the Quran was for a certain season. It was for a 1,000-year period. It was a guidance for that period. And now that period is gone, that guidance is no longer relevant. It will never be relevant again. We have the Torah, the Old Testament. It was relevant for 2,000 years. And now you have the so-called New Testament, the Gospels. But all this was sealed because the guidance for now is the AL-INJIL, which is the unsealing of all those books. And so if you go back and say, well, I'm going to rely on the Torah for guidance, then you're lost, because you went back in time. Is no longer relevant now. Now, the sealed version is no longer relevant. See? But when you unseal them, you have a whole different guidance, whole different book. It's a book within a book. So, the gravitational vortex is those people that just can't escape a particular period in time, a particular scripture, or the Torah. That's it. See, so they trapped in the gravitational vortex of that time, of that reality that no longer exists. So when a new reality comes in, it replaces the old reality, and they're lost, they're destroyed with the old reality, because two realities cannot exist at the same time. So one reality replaces another reality and destroys the old reality, destroys it, obliterates it totally. And so if you're stuck in that gravitational vortex, you will be destroyed with it, because that's how we move through time. We can transform energy from one form to another. So how do you get to new reality? You have to take the energy that composed the old reality and restructure it, retransform it into the new reality. That means the old reality no longer exists, because the energy has been changed into a new reality. I try to make it as simple as possible, brothers and sisters. The angel is bringing in a new reality, but it's taking the energy from this reality and transforming it into the new reality. That means there will be no trace of this reality anymore. No trace of it. Zero, nothing of it. That's what the scriptures tell you. Elijah Muhammad tried to tell you that. There'll be no trace of it. So if you're still stuck in this reality, then you will be no trace of you either. And actually, we don't want you anyway, because if your mind was not strong enough to escape this reality, then you'd just be a drag in the next reality. Because you would not be able to understand it. You'd not be able to keep up with it. The gods, they are the ones who transform one reality to another. And those with them keep pace with them to move into the next reality. If they're called believers. These believers are the ones who can't see transitioning to a new reality. They're stuck in the old reality, and so they're stuck in the gravitational vortex. Stuck in it. And this gravitational vortex is so powerful. It's one of the worst, strongest ever. Our people are stuck in it, and most of them are not going to get out of it. Because you have to climb out of it. And the lessons tell you, this Rusty Locks lesson, and also the lion pacing back and forth. Both of them had a limited amount of time to accomplish what they were trying to accomplish. And it says Suleiman will be walking alone. Because people just don't understand, because this gravitational vortex is so powerful that it's got people locked in it. And some of them are not even trying to climb out. Some of them don't even realize they need to climb out until it's too late. It was designed that way because we only want the best. It's a fiery furnace because we want pure gold. So if your mind is not capable of overcoming this gravitational vortex, then you will be left behind. That's the way it is. That's the way it is, brothers and sisters. You have to climb out of it. And your time, the window is closing. I've said it in many ways, and no one is paying attention. No one is paying attention. Like I said, he'll walk alone. You have those who claim to understand, but they don't understand. That's why the scripture says he would walk alone. They claim to be with me, but they're not with me. Why does the scripture say that he would walk alone? Is that prophecy? Are you bound by that prophecy? No. because they saw that that would be the case. They saw that that would be the case. No one's bound by it. They saw that that would be the case. They saw that would be the case. Okay. They don't understand. See? It's like being on the first floor and there's a second floor and the flood is coming and it's going to drown everyone on the first floor. And if you're on the first floor, you will be drowned. But to get to the second floor, you had to climb the stairs. See? And they don't want to do that. Some don't realize they have to do that until the flood comes. They make a mad dash to get to the second floor, but they find the doors closed. If anyone claims to be with me, they're not with me. Because if they're with me, they will keep up with me. As it said, it says, if you love anything more than this truth, you're not worthy of this truth. That's what it takes. You know, the sacrifices, the suffering, the pain that it took to get to this point, and then we open some eyes and they sit and stare at you. You open your eyes, they sit and stare. House on fire. And you on the third floor, house on fire. And they just stare at you. So, excuse me, do you understand? House on fire? You tell them, you don't understand. It's like having a boxer. You find this person you think they have potential. So you start training them, but they don't show up all the time. And then they can't done with any fights. So at some point you realize they don't have it. So you got to leave them alone. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. You could be finding someone else. Then Suleiman would do that. See, because he was started out as a lamb, but then he would turn into a lion. And you cannot save those people whose minds are not strong enough to break the gravitational vortex. You can't. They have to do it. We're not going to pull them out. Like I said, if we pull them out, we'll already pull them out. It's like pushing a car around. See? It doesn't have an engine, so you have to push it everywhere you go. What good is that car? It only moves as long as you push it. When you stop pushing it, it doesn't move anymore. And that was the case with Elijah's followers. He had to push them. He had to push them everywhere they went. And when he stopped pushing, they stopped moving. In fact, he had to push them uphill. He was pushing them uphill. And they was moving as he was pushing them. But once he stopped pushing, they started sliding back downhill. That's exactly what happened. I'm not going to do that. If you don't have an engine and you're not self-motivated and you don't I give you information and direction I explained to you about the gravitational vortex and give you the direction. And if you don't pull yourself out, that's on you. Because you wasn't worthy to be out anyway. Your mind's just not strong enough because you're still locked into this. You know, when I was over there trying to talk to Farrakhan's people, as I said, as she said, prophesy as I would. They telling people, oh man, you got to stop, come out the devil's world. Farrakhan always come out, man, you got to come out, my people. See, he claims that means come out of their world, come out of their ideas, which it does to an extent, but also means get the hell out of here altogether. See, he's saying we stay in America, but we got to come out of their ideas, their religion, their holidays, their rituals. That's his take on it. That's his propaganda. But I was going to study group over in Tampa, right? I mean, it's kind of silly because Tampa's a big city, little study group. That's pathetic. Wasn't like that when Elijah was around. Anyway, he has a study group there. I noticed, because I was going in about a year, I guess. And when holidays came around, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, everybody's attitude changed. And I remember Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving comes on a Thursday, but that Wednesday, they have their meetings every Wednesday. So we show up that Wednesday, and no one's there. So we're sitting around, what's going on, So we decided to sit around for about half an hour to figure out what's going on. Right. And the captain rolls by. Hey, what's going on, brother captain? Oh, we're not going to have a meeting today. So he didn't notify anybody. He said, well, the minister, see, he's not feeling too well. So we cancel it for today. That's unheard of. Well, first of all, Elijah Muhammad, far as I know, had no study groups. He might have had that in the beginning, but far as I know, I was in 1970s. I ain't seen any study groups. So temples all over the country. Anyway, they say Farrakhan's doing better. Well, I don't know about that. At any rate, so I'm saying, what? Okay. But, I knew that they weren't, because he rolled by, because the store, there was Walmart just a little past the little place where they was having a study group, which is a little kindergarten room or something. That's how we saw him. So we know what he's doing. He's had to get that ham and that turkey and getting ready for Thanksgiving. But yeah, they said we had to come out. See, they're full of shit because they're still in this vortex telling everybody to come out. How you going to tell everybody to come out when you're still in? How you going to get somebody, pull somebody out of the trap when you're in the trap? So, and the same thing with Christmas. You got those that claim, oh, hey, man, I'm down with this. No, they in this Christmas spirit because they still got that master's mind. They can't break out of gravitational vortex. And they think that they're fooling someone. They're not fooling me. Because they have to pull themselves up out of it. It's like you give someone tickets, but now they want you to pick them up, pack their bags, take them to the train station, put them on the train, set them down. Oh, you got the ticket. Now you got to get there yourself. So if you don't get there, you don't pull off. And all people have the tickets. They earn the tickets. But now they want someone to take and put them on the train, pack their bags for them, transport them to the train. Nope, it's not going to happen. And that train pull off. If you ain't there seated, that means you got distracted. Too bad for you, because this train's pulling off on time. It says if you love anything more than this truth, you're not worthy of it. The way they say it is, if you love your mother more than this, your father more than this, your sister, your brother, whatever, right, your job, your boy, then you're not worthy of it. Because Suleiman is a sprinter. He's sprinting for the finish line. And anybody don't make cross the finish line dies. So if you don't keep up with him, that's your problem. He's showing you the way. He's setting the pace. So if you don't keep, he's telling you, he's setting the pace for your survival. If you don't keep up with it, then that means you're going to be lost. He's the example. He's the one. You better read the scriptures carefully because he's the one that gives setting the. That's why the God raised him to tell you the pace you need to go at to be saved. That's why you have to be in the Lamb's book of life. He's to give you example of the pace that you need to achieve to get to the finish line. And if you're not maintaining that pace, then you lost. Period. That's why you had to be in the land. No other book. You had to be in the land book of life. Does Farrakhan had a book of life? Yes, Silas, any of them? Where is it? The Suleiman is setting the pace that you need to achieve to break the gravitational vortex, to climb out of it. But they don't understand. So if you're not keeping up, you're going to be lost. Oh, I got this, well, they're going to make excuses. Okay, make all excuse you want. Make all the excuses you want. Excuse me, I'm still dealing with this COVID, I guess. I thought I was over it. And the cough coming back a little bit. So maybe it's the Omicron. But I can't slow down. See, because you're racing for that train. That train's pulling off on time. And if I don't make it, no one makes it. Because the Lamb doesn't make it. He don't have a book of life to present to the God. So everybody's lost. It makes it very clear. But I'm not going to go into all the journey, but the whole story, but I just start from the Elijah Muhammad point. I came to Elijah Muhammad in 1970. Elijah Muhammad didn't fish me in. No one fished me in. Like I said, I was in Vietnam. I was reading the scripture, and I figured out that this person, Elijah, had to exist. And I dropped everything. I was a sergeant, right? I had my tour of duty was nearly over. I put almost 4 years in. My GI Bill, all that stuff set up. And when I saw that, I dropped everything. That's the spirit you got to have. Not knowing about Islam, Nation of Islam, and none of that. So I go looking for Elijah. Put my whole life at risk. Could have went to Leavenworth for I don't know how many years. Deserter, I guess they would have called me. That's the spirit. And I did that with no knowledge, just my understanding of scripture. That's why I said the lights are on everywhere, but they don't want to turn them on. See, that's a light. Don't mess with that. If I turn a light on me, I might see. If I see, that means I have to do something. I'm going to pretend, say, my excuse is going to be, I didn't know. Okay, well, that's what the people that drowned in the flood, Noah's flood, they didn't know either. They stopped from drowning. So I came to Elijah officially August 21st, 1970. That's when I got my ex in Newark, New Jersey. I found out that Elijah was in Chicago, and I left promptly. Moved to Chicago. That's why I said Suleiman had to be baptized by John or Elijah. Because the knowledge I got from him gave me the ability to climb out of the gravitational vortex. Because at that time, I started climbing right away. I did everything Elijah Muhammad asked me to do. Fasting, lots, selling 300 papers a week. I was a foreman at Muhammad Speak newspaper. At the time, I was 21 years old. I put in work 24/7, pushing that program, selling the fish, everything. Class A, FOI. Okay. I was mocked by other so-called brothers because I was 100%. Same time, the military looking for me, put my ass in jail or whatever they would have done if they'd have caught me. Didn't care. So Elijah departs, because I'm with him 5 years now, from 70 to 70. Well, actually 4 years, because he left beginning of 75. So I'm here 4 years, right? When you really think about it, it was really 3.5 years. Exactly. I never calculated before, but it's 3.5 because I came to him. Um, I came to him in like middle of the middle of 71. I mean middle of 70. Like I said, I got my exit August. I was in Chicago by September, I believe it was. So from September 70 to September 71 to September 71, that's 1 year. September 72 is 2 years. September 33 is 3 years. That'd be 4.5 years then, right? Let me get this right. From 70 to 71, that's 1 year. From 71 to 72, 73, that's 3 years. To 74, that's 4. And then half a year until February. So 4.5 years I was with Elijah. So once he left, I didn't fall apart like Farrakhan and the people was with him. He ran ahead and disaster that followed. I kept on with the program. I kept pushing the program. I didn't fall apart. I kept pushing the program. I went back to school, learned how to computers. I knew a little bit about it. Start my own business. Help, doing for self. Right? Very successful. In beginning of 84, right? I moved back to New Jersey, right? Very successful. Got me a mini mansion. Like I said, had my own business, right? Beautiful piece of property in Orange, New Jersey. Very successful. So that's 84. And then 6 years later, the AL-INJIL. But during this period of time, I'm still pushing Elijah Muhammad's program. Still pushing it. Pamphlets out, talk to people, studying, right? So all the time, I'm not really understanding what I'm doing. I'm climbing based on what Elijah Muhammad taught me. That gravitational vortex. I'm not into Christmas and New Year's and none of that stuff, right? And then fall back into that. See? So I'm climbing out. So annoying to me, by 1990, I had climbed out of it. And that gave me the strength because you have to climb out of it to see the revelations or the AL-INJIL and to break its seals. That's why I said he had to be baptized by John. See? So by that time, I was ready. I had the strength. I had climbed out of the gravitational vortex. And I got hold of the AL-INJIL. And I started breaking the seals. Says no one could do it but him. Because I was faithful and true. I didn't slide back. I wasn't BSing around. And then breaking those seals create a whole different situation, greater demands. So all the things I had accomplished, that's what tells you that the book of Jonah came to end overnight. Because they had a choice, AL-INJIL or this reality I built for myself based on what Elijah had taught me and Master's ideas. Because we we're still locked into this reality. That's what had to happen. So everything was going overnight. In other words, am I going to And the choice. I'm gonna go back into this gravitational vortex. I'm gonna be pulled back into it. Or I'm gonna stay out and start preparing for the next reality. And that's what the angel does. That's the beginning of preparing for a new reality. Elijah Muhammad didn't create a new reality. He started getting prepared for when that process will start taking place. That's why it's talking about the messenger of the covenant, because he will start bringing that new reality. And that reality, because remember, it's based on the mind. So a new mind, the angel released a new mind that's different from the old mind. A totally different mind, totally different idea. Explains everything. You think totally different once you get the angel. You don't, angels are no more invisible, and the jinn are more invisible, and the dragon are more invisible, and you understand the creation, you understand everything. So you bring a new world because it's based on new ideas, but mathematical ideas. So therefore you bring in a mathematical reality. And that's what the angel does. So it's changing this reality. It's converting this reality into a new one. So I made the choice. That says no one could open this book or look at it but Suleiman. No one, heavens or earth or under earth. That means, because remember, these books bring in a new reality. So the angel brings in new reality, and it was locked down for 2,000 years. And now it's bringing into new reality. But are you going to be part of that new reality? Most of you are not, because you can't escape the gravitational vortex. You can't escape it. Your mind's still in it. If your mind in it at any point, you're in it. Like the Quran says, they think they have an excuse. No excuse. You don't understand, brothers and sisters. So those who think they're with me, not with me. Because if you're not keeping up with me, you're not with me. You don't represent me. You represent something else, but you're not representing me. And if you think I'm going to carry my back, I'm not. Farrakhan, he's carry on his, well, whatever. That's not going to happen. As Elijah Muhammad said, each tub was set on its own bottom. No one's going to pull you out of that vortex because they risk being pulled back in themselves. So we're going to move into a couple of things, bro, sister. Then we're going to close it. Now, what I want to talk to you next about is give you an idea how things work. See, I tell you, I explain, like I said, if your mind's caught in that gravitational vortex, nothing I say is going to make sense to you. See? Because you ain't, if you was with me, you'd be fired up, like I'm fired up about this. See? What it says in Revelation says, but you're lukewarm. So I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. Can't be lukewarm. See, they want me to push them. I'm not going to push them. They can wait for that. That's massive stuff. We want gods. They have to push you into hereafter. And I'll be constantly pushing you while you're in the hereafter. That means my whole life is all about pushing you around. First of all, that would make me a tyrant. Second of all, my life becomes your life because I'm always giving my energy to push you around. Creating your hereafter for you. That's not the sacrifice I've been asked to make. So let me talk about vectors a little bit here, brother and sister. I want you to pay close attention to this. This is the way vectors work. If you can see this, not see that arrow, that's how people move along in time. See that red arrow there? That's 8 billion people on this planet, right? That's 8 billion, giving them their thoughts. See? Their non-mathematical religions and everything. That's they've been influenced by. See? But the white one, that's fruit mind by itself. So in other words, the arrows, those are vectors. That's mathematical. That's exactly the way it works. In other words, for instance, you're walking along and you hear some music. So you heard it, it's affecting you. So now you might like that music, or I like it, or you might start humming. Anyway, it changed the way you were thinking at that particular time. It affects it. To what degree, that depends on the person and the music. You run into a person, and they talk to you about something that changed the way you were thinking at that time. And when you finish talking to them, whatever they said to you is going to affect the way you think from that point on till you move to your next situation. It's going to affect it. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. It may affect you emotionally, it may affect you mentally, but it's going to affect you. That's what vectors are. So you've been bombarded with 5 billion vectors every day. You say, oh, somebody in India, okay. You think Hinduism is supported by one person? It's because you got so many people talking about thinking that way that has a whole country thinking that way, and that affects the way that country reacts to every one other country. So, and the way India reacts to America is based on how individuals acted in India. It all comes together. So those are vectors. So you think you're not being influenced by that? Now you're being influenced by what's happening in China. But how does what makes China react the way it does? Because individual vectors, right, all together, right, the result is how China reacts to other people. So what do we hear out of India? We're not hearing mathematical thinking. They're not acting in a mathematical way. Here from China, you don't hear mathematical thinking. They're not acting in a mathematical way. Same thing as Africa. So each individual is affecting you. You're affected by every vector on the planet. And the only vector that's our original people moving, right? The only vector that's trying to correct their course is me, the angel, against 5 billion. See? And you don't understand that at all. See? It's one vector that's a very powerful vector indeed that's opposing all the 5 billion vectors that's point in the negative direction. That's why it says he will walk alone. And some of those with me, right, they're negative vectors too. They think they're positive and negative. But if you're not 100% behind this, then that means you got negative components to your vector. That means you're not with me because you hurting black people yourself. Because how you going to tell them that this is the way when you're not walking that way yourself? How you going to tell them to break the gravitational vortex when you're locked in it yourself? You can't break it. That's not just conjecture. That's mathematics, brothers and sisters. Your thought is force. That means vectors are force. That's the mathematical representations of force. That's what vectors are. The mathematical representations of force. So your thoughts are vectors. See? And so majority of our people right now, they're going in the wrong direction. And the only one to correct that is myself with the angel. Up against 8 billion negative opposing vectors. That's the situation. Like I said, there's none with me, because those who claim to be with me, they're not with me. They're not fired up by this message. They're not 100%, because that's what we need, 100%. Because the angel is 100%. So you cannot consider yourself angel warrior if you're not 100%. We had battle, we out there shooting and swords and everything else, right? And you sitting back there, man, listening to Jay-Z or something. Hey, man, let me check this out. I'll be with you in a minute. What? We're in a death match out here. Enemy's firing at us. And you taking a break? Listen to Jay-Z? Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom? Are you serious? Or you think you're fooling someone? You only fool yourself. Like I tell you, it's not about me, it's about you. Because you're not fooling me, and you're not hurting me. Because I'm keeping pace. You don't want to have to keep up. Because that's why I don't ask you for anything. I want you to make sure you understand it's not about me, it's about you. Because if you listen, don't listen, it doesn't hurt me one way or the other. You're not supporting me. I don't need your likes and your clicks. If that was the case, I went 30 years without them. So I mean, I should be a poor, sad puppy. If I needed that for 30 years, I wasn't getting them. You don't understand, brothers and sisters. Our people are so messed up. But you got to climb out that belief matrix. You got to climb above the dumb barrier. You got to climb out that gravitational vortex. You got to do it on your own to prove you worthy. Prove that you're worthy. Prove you're worthy to move to the next reality. Because you're not going to be a drag on the next reality. It's not going to be Negroes in the next reality. It ain't going to be there. Just ain't going to be there. Only God's. See? And you want our women to respect you, but you're not building a reality for them. You're stuck here in Master's reality instead of creating a reality for them, which is your responsibility. So you letting reality. So Master's still Master because this is a reality that you're locked in. So he controls it. So he's still your master. He's still your master. That means he's still your woman's master too. So why she respect you when you ain't the master and you're a master, you're in someone else's house. You're a master's house, but you tell her she got to respect you and you're in master's house. No, she need to respect master because master calls shots in his house. And you won't build your own house because you like master's house. Or you're too lazy to build your own house. Or maybe master's been butt breaking you so long that now you like it. Whatever the case is, you still stuck in master's house. But you want the respect of being a master yourself. And a woman, she's more intelligent than that because she know who the boss is. And she'll tell you, she get pissed off enough who the master really is. When she call master, he come in there rolling up on you, busting upside your head. And he told you who master is. And she called him, hey, 911, this Negro boy. Show who the real master is when he rolls up and busts upside your head. Then you understand who the real master is and then who's controlling this gravitational matrix that you locked into. And you got the demons and Farrakhan them, they be part of the gravitational pull to hold you in because they're demons. They want to maintain this reality because they know the next reality, they're toast. They won't exist in the next reality. I already told the demons, I put them on notice. You are coming to my reality. See, that's why I call it the fuel for the fire. They're the fuel for the fire. What's the fire? That's to take and transform it from one thing to another. Move on to the next thing here, then we close out, brothers and sisters. Escaping the gravitational vortex. If you watch this, see, if you notice, see, everybody's locked in. The only one that's not locked that escapes it are the elect. They're the only ones that escapes it. Say they was with the Lamb wherever he went. They kept up with him. They had the Spirit. That's what it says in Ezekiel. They had the Spirit. They kept up with him. Only problem was they wasn't united yet. They had the Spirit. They wasn't united yet. Because they got that headwind that Master from Muhammad is getting ready to take out the way. That's going to break about the unity. But everybody else. And so what happens? They're lost. And they're replaced by the ones that break out based on Master from Muhammad's teaching. That's the Shia and Levites. See? So it is, brothers and sisters. See? Because that's why the elect doesn't have to flee. They don't have to flee. See? They didn't have to flee. See? The other ones had to flee because they climbed out. So once the four wind blow, then they came together as a mighty army. And they're in the Lamb's Book of Life. And they was the ones, right, that was taken out of here because they escaped the gravitational vortex. See, the other ones, they didn't escape. They still hold on. No. Christmas spirit, Thanksgiving spirit, a little bit here and a little bit there. It's not going to get it, brothers and sisters. All the sacrifice. You think Elijah Muhammad sacrificed for 40-some years, going to prison and everything else? So you can sit up and say, click, click, like. And that's going to get you into the hereafter. You think Master Muhammad, pure, perfect, come over here and suffer. I mean, it's like you clean and you shave and everything else, right? And then you jump down the shithole. That's what he did, because he's a shithole. He came over here, total darkness, total shithole when he came over here, pork infested and everything else. And he's a holy man. And he spent more than 3.5 years teaching Elijah, but Elijah said he came and went several times before he even met Elijah. And then he stayed 3.5 years with him before he left. And then Elijah, 40-some years. And then Elijah passed on to Suleiman. He goes 20 years. And then 30 more years with the angel. To open your eyes, you sit and just stare. You think a like, and a share is going to get your ass out of here? Is that what you think? All that? And is that what you think? I told you, it's no more lamb. It's lion now. See, if that's what you think, because it's your ass online, not mine. See? So you can't say you wasn't told. Now it's time for victory. It's war time, and you're not ready for it. You ain't not even close. Suleiman is walking alone. That's what it says. It's very clear. And he's still walking alone. And no one is getting it. That's my job. It says, Suleiman, when you see the war coming, if you don't warn the people, then their blood's on your hands. But if you warn them and they don't react sufficiently, then their blood is on their own hands. Read Ezekiel. And I've been warning 24/7. See, I've been sick for the last 3 months with this COVID thing, and you haven't seen me stop, hesitate one bit. So no one can say they weren't told. That's the spirit of the angel. That spirit of the original mind, the spatial mind. That's when it, because once it's activated, it's powerful. It doesn't sit and stare. It moves. That spirit of the angel, a spiritual warrior is a warrior. Because if you ain't fighting harder than those people with Farrakhan, who the hell need you? They claim the FOI soldiers, they ain't nothing, and you weaker than them. They need you. If we have superior wisdom over them, we should be more fired up. We should be knocking them out. We should be knocking us out day and night, 24/7. I told you about vectors, because I got this knowledge, but it ain't coming out your mouth. It's like you got arrows, but you ain't shooting them. I got 1,000 arrows, but you ain't shooting none of them. So what good is it? I give you all these arrows, and you ain't doing anything with any of them. Then you look over at the woman and tell, respect you for what? These sisters, they're going, unless they're totally crazy. But you brothers, I don't know. Gotta climb out that belief matrix. But climb out that gravitational vortex, but you ain't even trying. And your time is running out. You better read about the 10 virgins, right? See, 5 stepped back and just laid back and just stared. And then when time came, they ran and the door was closed. And the other ones, they took some extra. See, they got more energized. You know, say, hey man, can you help me? Say, I'm not giving you none of my energy. Yeah, you went to sleep on yours. I ain't giving you none of mine. I may not have enough myself. You better read it. And you better read about 144,000. They were not corrupt with women. That means they overcame the gravitational vortex. That's why it says in the angel revelation, he who overcomes, like I overcame. He who overcomes, like I overcame. He who overcomes, overcome what? Overcome this mind, the devil's mind, which is a gravitational vortex. That's his mind. You see what it is. Capitalism, Christianity, the false worship of false Israel, money, democracy, their religions, right? Their holidays and all that. See? That's if you in any part of that, then you in all of it. Like I said, if you miss the plane by a billionth of a second, you still miss it. Don't matter. Whatever excuse you got. Oh, I missed it because of this. I missed it because of that. I missed it. Don't matter. What your excuse is, you missed it. Okay, brother and sister, I'm going to leave it there. Can't say you weren't told. Assalamu alaikum.